For our next guest, and what a wonderful man he is, James Laughlin. James is a world-renowned high-performance leadership coach. He's worked with hundreds of high performers to get transformational results in their personal and professional lives. James has won 7 world champion titles as a musician, made world history by leading his underdog team to world champion victory, hosts global leaders in a sold-out 5-figure mastermind, is the founder and host of the Lead on the Lead on Purpose podcast. If you haven't caught it, just put it on the top of your podcast list. It is just sensational. He interviews world leaders, pro athletes, Fortune 200 CEOs, and more. I have great pleasure to bring to the podium now James Laughlin.
Top of the morning to you all. Fantastic to see you. Lots of familiar faces and some new faces as well. Great to connect in, and what a special moment and event for all of us to be here. And I just want to say thank you for your time. I'm going to try to be mindful of your time, and I know that lunch is important. I'm going to try and be mindful of that. So I want to chat a little bit around mindset. I geek out on mindset. I'm just going to make sure clicker works. There we go. Magic. So the possibilitarian mindset. There's power in thinking like a possibilitarian. And yes, it's a bit of a mouthful for this time in the morning to say the word, but I want to just challenge you around what does it mean. And I'm going to just share a quick short story around my existence here in New Zealand, what brought me here. So I started in Northern Ireland, born there just outside Belfast in a small little working class Protestant town. Hands up who's been to Northern Ireland. Okay, fantastic. Well done on making it back alive. Right, it's a gorgeous place, beautiful place, however it's divided with religion. Catholics and Protestants fight the bit out. As a kid, I discovered very quickly that I didn't belong. One morning I went down, seen the car, my mum's car covered in white paint. And mum said, look, Dad will take you to school today, we'll chat tonight. And we had a discussion around religion, and I discovered that my life was going to be a little bit more challenging, because in each village, there was a Protestant village and a Catholic village. And if you lived in the Protestant village, well, you're Protestant. And so over time, I realized that this division was a real thing. I ended up in my headmaster's office for all the wrong reasons at 9 years of age. And he gave me an option, as great leaders do. First option, a week of detention. Didn't like that. That sucks. Second option, a set of drumsticks. And I looked up to Mr. Pollock and I said, are you punking me? Like, is this a joke? A set of drumsticks? He went, no, if you do this for a term, no detention. I didn't realize what he was setting me up for. I thought, Ringo Starr, here I come. I'm 9 years of age. It might help me get my first girlfriend. I was going to be a cool drummer. 4 weeks later, he marches into the assembly hall in what I thought was a skirt. Now I know to be a kilt, playing the bagpipes. He said, James Laughlin, where are you? Please stand up. So I stood up. My face is bright red. He says, this is our newest recruit for the pipe band. Thought, oh my goodness, Ringo Starr, not at all. But what I am is very competitive. And I realized it was a competitive art form. And you could be adjudicated, much the same as figure skating. And so I went along to the Northern Ireland Championships, the Irish Championships. At 13, I was lucky to get to go to the World Solo Drumming Championships. And I was fortunate to be named the World Solo Drumming Champion that year. I went on at 14 to win it again. And the reason I share that with you is not to impress you, but to impress upon you that in a very short period of time, when you change your focus on what truly matters, great things can happen, not just for you, but for the people around you. And in this case, what we're talking about today, our beautiful planet. I got a phone call from Christchurch, New Zealand. I had no idea where New Zealand was. My dad, when I put the hand over the phone, said, Dad, where's New Zealand? He didn't know either. All I could think of was Jonah Lumu, All Blacks, Silver Fern. And it was a school here that said, we want to be the first world champions from New Zealand in piping and drumming. I said, okay, I'm listening. This is great. These are possibilitarians, people thinking big, taking big old swings. So I made my way down here because they agreed to one thing. That was permanent residence in New Zealand. That was very important to me. I'll tell you why that was important. Don't know what it was like when you went to school. For a lot of young kids in Northern Ireland, this was the reality. What we've got there is a masked paramilitary, IRA. This was normal. And for me, my mindset was, this is where I was born, this is where I will die. I didn't have much ambition. But one person challenged my thinking. And I hope today there's one thing I might say or share that will challenge your thinking. One person challenged my thinking that changed the trajectory of my life hugely. I now live out in Banks Peninsula, and I am so grateful every morning I open the curtains and see the harbour and the hills, hear the birds. I mean, that's precious. What we've got here in Christchurch is simply phenomenal. You know, going from that to this, that's where I spend almost every waking moment. And my little boy Finn, what a different life that kid has got. We went back last Christmas to Northern Ireland, and it had been a while since I was back. I was walking down a tiny little street, and there was a funeral across the road. And I looked over and I thought, well, everybody knows everybody in these small towns. I wonder who it is. But I could see walking in the distance this gentleman, and I recognize him. Guess who it was? Mr. Pollock. Mr. Pollock. Gone too far. There we go. Wasn't that amazing to bump into him? We were meant to collide that day. He was there for the funeral. He was his close friend. And for a moment, we reconnected and shared stories. But he was the possibilitarian in my life that really changed everything for me. I want you just to think for a minute. Everything rises and falls on leadership. This is not an election speech, but it's coming up. It's important. Make sure you do vote. What a privilege. But everything rises and falls on leadership. Good and bad. Right? Great leaders can take us in certain directions. Not so great leaders will take us in very different directions. What is high-performance leadership? This is what I live and breathe. I had the honor of meeting Dame Jenny Shipley a few days ago, and we got chatting, and she went, you're the leadership guy. I was like, honestly, I just geek out on leadership. And she giggled and went, so do I. And I love people that commit their life to self-leadership and then leading others. She's one of them. But to me, high-performance leadership is one thing. It's performing above the standard norms whilst maintaining positive relationships and well-being. Now, we can think of that as self, and that's important. But actually, what about our relationship with the planet? What about the well-being of nature, the well-being of the humans that live on it? To me, high-performance leadership can be thought of, oh, James does mental skills with Canterbury Rugby, that's high-performance leadership. That's one version of it. But actually, it's so much more. And every one of us has the opportunity to be high-performing leaders. Two types of people in the world. Which one are you? Are you a miniscularian? Or are you a possibilitarian? Right? What do miniscularians do? Well, they do a few things. They get to the driving range, they get the big brand new driver, and they go, let's go, let's go. Putt. They take little putts with big drivers. Right? They are little putters. Right? They are shoot heads. Yeah. No, nobody wants to be around a shoot head. You know what? We should do that. Oh, yeah, that thing about sustainability, that should be on the agenda. Or that thing about, the world, and it's like, it's about to flip a switch. We should probably do something there. They're should heads. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. It doesn't get anything to move forward. There's no action that comes from that. They're finger pointers. The government this, the government that, he, she, my opposition. They're always pointing, and they're forgetting where the other three fingers are pointing towards, and that's back at themselves. Miniscularians like to bicker and gossip and focus on the negative. Possibilitarians, what do? They get given the putter, and they take grand old swings. They take risks. If you're going to be a high-performing leader, I believe you need to take big swings. We are at a critical time, where we can't afford little putts. Oh, that'll be good for the quarterly report. Revenue will look great. Yeah, it'll look great, but what if we don't have a planet to live on? Pointless. They have a filter, almost like a brain tattoo, WTOH. When they see a problem, they ask the question, what's the opportunity here? Very simple. What's the opportunity here? We all have an opportunity. There's so many incredible people. I'm looking around this room going, wow, if we all agreed on a North Star of what was best for this planet and our little nation, wow, I think anything could be possible. And we'd see lots and lots of opportunities. They have a filter of PPP. I'm going to explain that in just a moment, but PPP is essential. These are some people, when I think of possibilitarians, there's a few up on that screen right now. Right? Some are local, some are not. But all of these individuals are thinking about what opportunities are out there. How do we do better for people, for planet? For just a second, I want you to grab your phones. And I know at most of these events we put our phones away, we put them on flight mode. Grab your phone and open your camera up, please. If you're going to step in here and make a difference and take big swings, it's going to become daunting at times, overwhelming at times. I want to share something with you that hopefully will serve you. I've asked my team to open this up for the next hour. It's a personal leadership planner. It's got mental models in there to deal with decision making, how we do that under pressure, day-to-day planning, of course, as well in there, but this is for the leaders who want to take the big swings. I wanted to gift it to you as a thank you for taking the time to be here today and taking the big action that you're going to take. Just take a moment there and pop your details in, and we'll get that through to you. How do possibilitarians think? It's nice to say a big word and think, hey, it would be good to be one of those, but how do we actually do possibilitarianism? Well, it's very simple. We have two filters, both are PPP. The first one is crucial. Problems present possibilities. An hour ago, I was standing in a polo shirt at Rugby Park, delivering a mind gym mental skill session with the NPC rugby team. Now, they've had a couple of losses this last few weeks, and we could see lots of problems there and get in our own way. But to me, those problems present possibilities by looking for the lessons and the learnings. How are we seeing our challenges? Are we seeing them as doomsday? It's too late, let's just run away and duck and cover? Or are we seeing that, hey, there's possibilities here, we just have to challenge ourselves around how we see the situation? Are we shifting our perspective? I'll tell you what, I was up speaking with a financial services company in Auckland a few weeks ago. As I was walking up, coming down the street on a Lime scooter, very steep old street in Auckland, no hands, not holding on, probably going about 20 at least, down the hill, smoking a crack pipe, was a drug addict. And I looked up, and right behind him were 6 cop cars weaving in and out and people running. And James 10 years ago would have went, get him, lock him up, he's bad, like, oh my God, like, we need to get rid of people like that, get them off the streets. But my perception has changed over those years, and the first thing I looked at was like, what happened to the little boy that's on that scooter? What happened to the 4 or 5-year-old version of that guy that was up there? So rather than jump to, hey, he's a nuisance, get him off the street, it was like, my goodness, what's his life like? Why did he end up that way? Now, I didn't always think like that. I don't always jump to that, but changing our perception will change our reality. And that's what I'm asking you and challenging you to do, is think about what's happening to our planet. I want to challenge you to think about what's happening and is there possibilities? Secondly, and in this order, possibilitarians who do care about longevity, existential longevity, will have these 3 things in mind. If you're running a business, an organization, planet, people, and profit. Why is profit? I had someone challenge me, James, why would you put profit on there? It's like, well, if we're running a business, we've got to make a profit. That's important. If we're not running a business at a profit, running at a loss, we're going to be out of business, or we're a charity. So these 3 things are important, and the order in which we do them is crucial. I've got one parting challenge for you, and I want you to carry this with you today. That is to be the possibilitarian in a world of miniscularians. The glass is always full. Thank you so much.